Hey there. If you're someone who craves jaw-dropping stories that grip your heart and don't let go, you've landed in the right place. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and become part of our little storytelling family. Now, let's begin. I knew I had made a mistake before I even pulled my hand away. It was like the entire world paused for a split second, just enough time for guilt to crash into me like a speeding freight train. His lips were still brushing against mine when the realization sank in like poison. I had just shattered something I once believed could never break. My name is Naomi. I was married to Aaron for 6 years. If you'd asked anyone who knew us, our families, friends, co-workers, they would have told you we were the kind of couple people admired, the kind that gave others hope. We laughed loud, fought rarely, and stood by each other through storms that would drown other marriages. At least, that's how it looked from the outside. But things started to change around our 5th year. Aaron got a promotion. It was a big deal, something we both celebrated at first. But with the new title came longer hours, late-night work emails, and a pressure that slowly drained the light from his eyes. I watched it eat away at him piece by piece. At first, I was proud of him. Then I tried to be patient. And eventually, I just felt invisible. We stopped talking like we used to. Our inside jokes turned to dust. Date nights became empty promises, maybe next weekend. And I started to feel like a ghost haunting the ruins of my own marriage. I made efforts. I truly did. I planned surprise dinners, wore the perfume he once said made him weak, sent him playful, flirty texts. But most of them were either ignored or met with exhausted silence. I told myself he was just tired, that this phase would pass. But deep inside, I was wilting. Then, about 6 months ago, I met Liam. He was a graphic designer at the agency I freelanced for. Kind, charming, attentive, and not married from the beginning. He made it obvious he found me attractive, though I brushed it off with nervous laughs and constant reminders of my husband. I made sure to drop Aaron's name in conversations often. I wore my wedding ring like armor. I told myself I wasn't that kind of person. But Liam listened in a way I hadn't experienced in a long time. He noticed when I changed my hair and complimented it before anyone else. When I had a rough day, he showed up with my favorite coffee, without me even asking. He saw the parts of me Aaron no longer looked for. He filled a hollow space I didn't even want to admit existed. I didn't plan for anything to happen. That's the lie I repeated to myself over and over. But when it did, I didn't stop it. It was a Friday night. The office was mostly empty. Liam stayed behind to help me wrap up a late pitch. We were laughing about a ridiculous typo, something light and harmless, when suddenly his hand found mine. His eyes locked on mine like nothing else in the world existed. And then he kissed me. I didn't pull away. I kissed him back, just long enough for it to mean something, long enough to betray every promise I'd ever made. I stopped it before it went any further, before the line between mistake and full-blown betrayal became permanently blurred. But it was too late. The damage had already carved itself deep. That night, I stood in the shower until my skin burned red. I hated myself, not just for what I'd done, but for how part of me enjoyed being seen again. How easy it had been to slip into the lie that I was still desirable, still wanted, still alive. In the days that followed, I avoided Liam like he carried a plague. I didn't respond to his texts. I switched off projects. I deleted every late-night message that had once made me smile. I was ready to bury it, to lock it away like some shameful secret. Until one night, Aaron came home early. He stood in the doorway, his face a twisted portrait of heartbreak and quiet fury. There was a weight in his eyes I hadn't seen in years. "I saw your messages," he said, voice low. My heart sank. "What?" "Your laptop was open. Slack. The messages between you and Liam. I read enough." I couldn't breathe. Couldn't form words. There was nothing I could say that would erase what he'd read. No excuse that could make it make sense. He didn't scream. Didn't cry. He just stood there like a man who had been punched in the soul. "You know what hurts the most?" he said softly. I was trying. I know I haven't been around, but everything I was doing, the hours, the stress, I was doing it for us. I wanted to build something better for you. And the moment I finally felt like I could breathe again, this is what I come home to. I begged. I sobbed. I swore it was nothing but a mistake, that it had meant nothing. But my words sounded empty, even to me. Aaron had always been the kind of man who never once looked at another woman. I knew that, and I broke him. He packed a bag and left that same night. And in the silence he left behind, I felt myself unravel. The house felt haunted, our memories clinging to every wall. His cologne on the pillows, his shoes by the door, the sound of his laughter echoing like a ghost in the hallway. I tried to reach him, but he blocked me everywhere. I wrote emails, letters. Nothing came back. Weeks dragged into months. I saw him once, by chance, in the grocery store. He looked thinner, more tired, worn down. He glanced right past me like I was invisible. Meanwhile, Liam kept trying to reach me. Texts, emails, even waited for me outside work once. But I couldn't look at him without seeing the hurt in Aaron's eyes. I told him to stay away, and eventually he did. I moved out of the house. Couldn't bear the memories anymore. Got a small, cold apartment downtown, silent and empty. I threw myself into work, hoping the weight of exhaustion would dull the ache. But at night, the quiet came back. And every time it did, it brought the same haunting question. Why did I do it? The truth is, I don't have a good answer. I was lonely. I was tired. I wanted to feel something again. But none of that makes what I did okay. I made a choice, a selfish, irreversible choice. And I regretted it the very moment it happened. Then one evening, nearly 7 months after everything, something arrived in the mail. Not a text, not an email, a real handwritten letter from Aaron. He said he'd been going to therapy, that he needed space to understand what happened, and that writing me wasn't about reopening wounds. He wrote to let me know he was letting go of the hate. He told me he had met someone. It wasn't serious yet, but she made him smile again. He said he hoped that someday I would find peace too. I broke down, not because he'd moved on, but because he had found the strength to forgive. I still live with what I did. I always will. I don't expect anyone to understand. I certainly don't expect forgiveness. But maybe, just maybe, someone hears this and chooses differently when they find themselves at the edge of a moment like mine. Because sometimes all it takes is one decision, 1 second, to unravel everything and leave you with nothing but regret.